What up, everybody? It's your boy JK, man. Today is Thursday, so you already know what it is. It's Tackle Thursday with JK live on IG and only on IG. And when I'm only on IG, you already know what that means. I got a special guest, and today is no different. My guest for today hails from Tallahassee, Florida. And if you're a Tallahassee resident, you might know him as Shotgun Willie, a former All-American high school quarterback. If you're a Clemson fan, you know him as your former Clemson quarterback. And if you are a FAMU graduate, a FAMU football supporter, a HBCU supporter, you know him as the current head coach for the FAMU football team. And if you meet, you know him as coach, as friend, as an inspiration, as a great man. Y'all help me welcome my guest for today, the head coach of the FAMU Rattlers football team, Coach Willie Simmons. Yo, Coach, what's up, Coach?
How you doing, JK? What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How you doing, Coach?
Man, I'm doing awesome, man. I'm thugging it right now. You know, it's spring camp mode, so I got to get my haircut tomorrow. I tried to hold off. I forgot to have my podcast tonight, so excuse me for looking a little rugged right now.
Yeah, hey, it's all good, Coach, man. Spring, we talked before the show, man. Y'all started back spring, man. So we already know. But and one thing I know about Coach Simmons gonna be fresh. Hey, with the lineup, the belt coat. I remember when y'all used to have the cowboy boots, had the jeans, had the belt and all. So Coach, that one thing I do know about you, and I'm pretty sure the people in Tallahassee know about you too, man. Coach, stay clean, man.
Well, you know, I try to do a little something, man. I had to kind of replace my boot game with my shoe game, with my Jordan game lately. So still got my boots. I still rock them from time to time. The players, they're not as cool as y'all were, so they try to give me a hard time about my ostrich skin boots, but I'm trying to put them up on game.
Hey, Coach. Hey, speaking of that, hey, I see the shoes, man. I see so many. You show the shoes, how you walking. Now you got the LeBrons. We gonna get into that too. Jay walking. Now you got the LeBron. So that's definitely something that we gonna touch on, man. And I know. Hey, I want everybody to know. Hey, Coach Simmons them got practice early in the morning, and he's taking his time out to sit down with me. And man, I don't take that for granted, Coach. When I say I don't take it for granted, I truly, truly, truly appreciate it, man. And so with that being said, I do want to respect your time, so we're gonna get right into it. So Coach, I know I just introduced you, and I know everybody that's on here, they know you, right? But it might be somebody that might listen to the podcast on Spotify or might watch this on YouTube and might be living on the rock that don't know who Coach Willie Simmons is. Man, could you tell them who you are, where you're from, and what you do, Coach?
Well, you know, again, man, I'm a humble guy from a little small town, Quincy, Florida, just 20 minutes west of Tallahassee, the state capital here in Florida. Grew up playing the game of football. Found a passion for it at an early age. Was blessed enough to be named an All-American quarterback in high school, and had an opportunity to go to Clemson University as a quarterback. You know, spent 4 years there. Played with some great guys. You know, Woodrow Dantzler, Charlie Whitehurst, Rod Gardner.
You kind of went out, Coach. Now you, now
Yeah,
you
yeah.
good, Coach.
Sorry about that, but yeah. So you know, after 4 years, graduated, and then had an opportunity to transfer out. You know, after I graduated from Clemson, attempted to come to FAMU. You know, many people know that story during the time when FAMU attempted to reclassify from FCS Division One AA to FBS, and kind of got caught up in that transition. Wasn't Was deemed ineligible, along with about 14 other transfers that year. So I found my way back to the Citadel, you know, where I played my senior year there. Was a first team all conference quarterback there. Met a bunch of great guys, you know, Scooter Johnson, Bud Pugh, you know, Kevin Olecki, you know, Nemo Broughton, a lot of great guys, man. I had a chance to play football with there at the FCS level. Then I got into coaching, you know, coached 1 year of high school football at Lincoln High School. And then, you know, I found my niche of college coaching, was able to go back to Clemson as a grad assistant, spent a year there in 2006. And then Rick Stockstill, you know, who recruited me out of high school, who recruited you out of high school, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
brought me on at Middle Tennessee State. And I spent 5 years there as a running backs coach and then offensive coordinator, you know, where I got to meet you and a lot of phenomenal football players, had a great time in Murfreesboro. Transitioned from there to Alcorn State University, you know, where I became a coordinator there for 3 years. And then I got my first opportunity as a head coach out at Prairie View A&M, out in Texas. Spent 3 years there. And then I got the call to come home, you know, back to FAMU, the House of Seven Hills here in Tallahassee. Been here now for 4 years. Was able to turn this program around, and 2 years back-to-back 9-win seasons. Black College National Championships, first FCS playoff berth in over 20 years. Conference Players of the Year. NFL future draft pick. So we're doing a really good job of building this program back up to the level of dominance that I remember growing up. So but again, man, just a proud husband of a Rattler grad, Coach Simmons, proud father of 6, biological and through marriage, ranging from 23 all the way down to 2, believe it or not. And
Yeah, yeah.
so, well-rounded family, man, just, again, just a guy that tries to do things the right way, live by my 7 F's, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But just, again, guy from humble beginnings that's always tried to keep a level head on my shoulders and has always tried to use the gift that God gave me to impact lives.
Nah, hey, Coach, that summed up the whole interview, Coach. Hey, I appreciate that for real. And so anytime I have a guest, Coach, I like anytime I have Tackle Thursday in general, I'm on here by myself or I have a guest, I tackle different topics, right? That's why I got the Tackle Thursday with JK. I played safety, tackling, and all that, right? So now we tackle different topics. And so anytime I have a guest, I think about the what could we tackle? Like what would this particular special guest bring or could educate or share with us. And so the topic we tackling today is I'm home. And I got that, Coach, when I watched the Why Not Us. And if nobody have watched the Why Not Us series with FAMU on ESPN Plus, y'all go check that out. Not right now, after this episode though, right? So you said at your opening press conference, you said, I'm home. And I was like, hey, oh, I feel that. He said, I'm home, right? And so does it mean, and what did it mean, and what does it mean to you to be back home? Why did you say I'm home, and what does that mean to you?
Well, it means everything, and if anyone knows me, they know how much family means to me. I grew up in a big family, not my immediate family. I'm the youngest of 3. It's just me and my 2 older sisters. But my mom was the oldest of 9 on her side, and my dad was the youngest boy of 10 on his side. And so growing up, a ton of cousins, lots of aunts and uncles, even now nieces and nephews. And so we every Sunday, we're at grandmother's house, and so just being able to be around family, they helped shape and mold me to the man I am today. Florida A&M has always been a huge part of who I am. My mom was the first in her family of 6 to graduate from FAMU. Everyone I knew, most of the people I grew up with and played ball with, came to FAMU. My godbrother played football here for Coach Ken Riley. My wife is a 2-time graduate of Florida A&M. Our oldest son, Trey, is a recent graduate and now in the law school there in Orlando. So when I said I'm home, I meant it. This is a place that really raised me. Between Quincy and Tallahassee in the Big Bend area, this is where I cut my teeth as a young man. And so to know the history of this program, to know what it's meant to so many people, what this school has meant to this area and to this state and this country and this world, it was an honor to be able to come back and lead such a storied program, to be mentioned in the same breath as a Jake Gaither, one of the most legendary coaches in not only black college football, but all of college football, Ken Riley, Rudy Hubbard, Billy Joe, even all the way back to William Bell, just what these guys have meant to Florida A&M football, to this university, to this region, is something that I take great humility in every day. And I don't take this responsibility lightly as the head coach of this great program.
Now, for sure, Coach. And one thing, I know I keep going back to this Why Not Us, and I texted you after I watched it. I was like, Coach, like sitting here watching this with you and your wife, how y'all got this vision. I'm telling y'all, if you have not seen it, go watch it after this though, right? Go watch it. It touched me, Coach, and to the point where y'all got the the 1978 circle, right? And how y'all started, y'all building the dream home, and but it ain't just for y'all, but it's for the students to come through and with agriculture and the whole 9. And one thing I seen how you talk about your wife being 2-time graduate from FAMU, like, and I see she's so heavily involved in the program. What does that do for you as a coach? Because like right now you at the office, so you spend a lot of time away from the family. But when you have a wife that's so entrenched in the program, like, how does that help you? And what does that mean to you to have her overwhelming support?
Well, again, within our program, we talk about our 7 F's. Well, the first one is faith, and obviously we'll talk about that as well. but family is the last one. So again, that word family means so much to us. And so, when we started dating, she didn't really know much about football, believe it or not. We went to high school together, and she never even saw me play high school football. So again, but when she became a coach's wife, she saw the responsibility that came along with it. You have to be entrenched in it. Like you said, I spent so much time here at the office, away from her, away from my other kids, that if she doesn't come here and become a part of what we do, we really won't see each other very much. It'll be hard for me to be a father to my son, to my daughters, if they're not around. And so for her being able to be around the program as much as she is, being a positive role model in this community, as being a collegiate athlete as well, there are a lot of females, a lot of young women who are part of this program as well, in the support areas, in the training room, in the equipment room, even in the weight room. And so for her to be able to mentor these young women, to talk to them about issues in life, and as a FAMU graduate, again, is monumental for our overall success. And we talk about being Team Simmons. It's not just Willie Simmons as the head football coach or Cher Simmons as the coach's wife. We have to be Team Simmons. And we have to be joined at the hip and support one another, in her endeavors as a stay-at-home mom, my endeavors as a head football coach, and really just making it all tie together to build the best role models that we can be for the young men that I'm entrusted in coaching every day, and for the young women that she's in charge of mentoring and helping mold every day as well. So, again, it's great to have a supportive, first lady of FAMU football, and it makes my job a lot easier.
Hey, nah, definitely, coach. Like, any parent that's watching this that got a player right now, whether or just a student, let's think about FAMU or a football player or athlete in general. I think that's so big that you got the head coach. All right, so he's an influence to the men and women, but then you got his wife standing right next to him, and then you see black love. You get black leaders, both men and women. Then it's bigger than football because you showing your players this how you love your wife. This how you treat your wife. Like if you succeed, you let your wife stand next to you. She don't stand behind you. Like I know I'm not the man I am if it ain't for my wife. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure you could say the same thing. That hey, I feel like yeah, you behind every good man is a good woman, but nah, she ain't just standing. She holding us up like through tough losses, through disappointment, but vice versa. You support her and her endeavors. So salute to you on coach, man. Salute to you on that, coach, man, for real. And so now, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go back to how you grew up, right? You grew up in Tallahassee, playing football in Florida, man. I'm biased, coach. I feel like we got the best football in Florida, right? So you may feel that way too, but you got to recruit Florida. You recruit different areas. What you think? What do you think makes Florida athletes so special compared to other states? And I know you recruiting other states, so hey, anybody in Cali he trying to get right now, hey, still come to FAMU. But I'm just saying, just from that perspective of playing and coaching.
Well, you know what? I think, and I've coached in Texas too, so I know all my Texas friends
Yeah, yeah, hey,
are eager to hear my answer here because we went back and forth about that
yeah,
almost every other day. But, one, I think it's the weather. Obviously, whenever you're in a state where you can be outside for the bulk of the year, it helps, playing an outdoor sport. Football is an outdoor sport. We have a lot of speed here in the state of Florida. And ironically, it's really a gift and a curse in some instances where we're not flooded with resources here in Florida as far as high school and middle school support. And so I think the biggest difference between a state like Texas per se and Florida is that a lot of the students in Texas grow up with a ton of resources. They have great weight rooms, they have coaches and nutritional programs and all those things. Here in Florida, we have to quote unquote get it out of the mud. So for us, it's about that grind. And for many of us, football is our way out. Sports is our way out of tough situations. If you grow up in some of the areas that we've grown up in, that's what we see as a way out. So we take it serious. It's not just a hobby for us. Football is Friday night. If you're a high school student, Friday night is where it's at.
yeah,
For most of the state of Florida, and so just having that dog mentality, having that attitude that we're going to be the best, and we take that with us when we go out of the state when we play people. Like, we take that with us now. Even here as a college, like we go out of the state to play. Trust and believe. Hey, we're Florida, dog. We don't,
yeah,
we don't go to other states and lose in football. You know, basketball maybe, you know, some other sports, but
Yeah.
no, not in football. You know, so again, it's just a mindset that, you know, for us, football is our life, and you know, we're not just interested in going to college and playing ball. Like we want to make it to the very top. And so for us, we talk about the NFL. We talk about being the very, very best All-American, Heisman Trophy winners, and those things. Those are our dreams and aspirations. And I think that, coupled with the fact that we're playing outside most of the year, gives us a little bit of an edge. You know, maybe on some other states that have a lot of talent. You know, but maybe just don't have some of the intangibles that Florida kids have as far as football goes.
Man, hey, Coach, I never even thought about the weather being a factor, and Coach Stock said the same thing. And I'm like, dang, Coach, like you right, cause like teach high school and lifetime wellness. Man, we ain't been outside all year. We about to first time we gonna go outside is in the third week of March. We going outside. So you talking about just the basic fundamentals of high knee karaoke. You missing that. So you like you said, like in Florida, weather does play a factor, and even with not having a lot of resources, we just go straight outside and play, and that's why like even our linemen be thinking they skill position players.
Yeah, no
Like
doubt.
if we go outside and play football with our linemen got hands, they got feet, sweet feet. They want to play quarterback. They got the big arms, But that's just and I think another thing watching why not us like I loved it just hearing the lingo, the boy, hey, yeah, from the crib, out front. I'm like, dang, boy, I wish I was in that type of environment because it reminds me of being back home, man. And so you talked about, man, being an All-American quarterback. You went to Clemson, man. Like, so what made you choose Clemson, and were there any other choices that you had on the table that you could have selected?
Well, you know, I was blessed, man. I had, you know, over 25 scholarship offers coming out of high school, and pretty much every school on the East Coast, you know, major institution had offered me a scholarship. And I'll say why I went. I think you can relate. Rick
Yeah,
Stockstill, man. Rick Stockstill came and sweet talked me, and you know, and it really to this day, I even use it in my recruiting. There were some schools who probably did a better job of recruiting Willie Simmons, and that's just truth be told. You know, I was in love with Georgia Tech. You know, I loved Atlanta. You know, I love Joe Hamilton. You know, seeing myself as the next Joe Hamilton and what they were doing offensively. You know, so from a football perspective, I can see myself in that role, especially being in a city like Atlanta, Chocolate City, as a young black man, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, so there are
yeah,
a lot of schools that did a great job of recruiting Willie Simmons, but Rick Stockstill had the secret trick in the bag. He recruited Phyllis Simmons. And so while everybody was so busy recruiting me, he was recruiting my mom because he knew I
yeah,
was a mama's boy, and he knew at the end of the day she wasn't going to tell me where to go, but her influence was going to have you know, some value on where I chose. And she never once said I want you to go to Clemson, but I just knew it in my heart that that's where she felt the most comfortable because growing up in a small town in a small community, Clemson gave me that same small town family feel. And it was just love there. You know, when you pull up, when you drive off the interstate, and you see the tiger paws on the streets, and you see the banners, and you see all the sea of orange and just the trees, and it's like, man, this is home. Like when I said I'm home, like you felt like I felt like I was leaving Quincy, going to Quincy. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? With
yeah.
just with the college there. So man, just the family environment, and then just the promise of Rick Stockstill telling my mom, like, hey, I'm going to take care of your son. At the end of the day, I'm going to take care of your son. And he's done that. You know, 20 some years later, we still have a phenomenal relationship. He's like a mentor to me, like a father figure to me. And I'm indebted to him for life because, again, he made a promise to my mom over 20 years ago that even after she passed, you know, he held true to, you know, that he was going to take care of me, look after me, help raise me, and mentor me. And that's what he's been for me. So, again, it's a lesson that I've learned as a coach now in the recruiting process. You know, you can recruit the young man, but you better find a way to recruit mom if you want to attract them and get them to school because at the end of the day, that's who's gonna call and check on him. Mom's gonna be the one to call and check on him and say, hey, where is he? I haven't talked to him. How are his grades? You know, dad may be the one asking about football.
Yeah.
Is he playing? What's his playing time?
Uh-huh.
But mom wants to know how he's doing. And that's a lesson that Rick Stock still taught me a long, long time ago that I still hold true to this day.
Now, Coach, you said a mouthful right there. Now, normally when I do my podcast, I cut up certain parts, right, and I post it because I feel like it be so it just be like gems. Now that gem right there that you just said, recruit the mama. I'm not even gonna cut that up because I want you to keep that, Coach. I don't want to put it out and let other coaches hear what you said because I need you to get all the recruits. So I'm gonna let you keep that. But hey, you right though, because when I think about why I went to MT, right? Obviously, it was my choice. But I remember my mama saying this. She said, She said, this is the only school that I seen the actual president, like President McPhee came. And you know what I mean? And she loved Coach Stark. Like you said, Coach Stark, wine and Donna came down to Florida. But it was my choice. But my mom was like, I like MT because of this. And so, like you said, you recruit Mon Dukes, who, like you said, they checking up on you on who you are, like how you doing, not more so football, man. So man, when I say Coach Stark A1, he A1, and I see the impact that he made on your life, and then impact that he's making on my life as well. And for me, giving him me opportunity, I'm indebted to him forever. And when I was doing research, like I was like, dang, he became a GA. Coach Stark gave him the opportunity, right? So I want you to talk about tell the to current college players, athletes in general, and future college athletes, and even just professional, why is it important to build a good rapport or good relationship with your coaches while you're playing for them? Why is that?
Man, because life is about relationships, you know. So it's not, and it goes even further than that. Not just building a relationship with your coaches, you know. And I make this point to my team all the time. And you ask them, they'll say I talk too much. But you know, I ask them frequently, you know, while we're at the practice, we're sitting down. I'll say, hey, if you had a job, if you ran your own business, would you hire the guy beside you? Right? And that's an important question because that's what we're doing every day. You're in an interview every single day with your teammates, with your classmates, with your coaches, with people who have influence in your life because that's how you get put on, right? Very few people hire people that they don't know, right? This will be my third hire this off season. I lost my offensive line coach. I recently lost my running back coach, Coach Tucker, you know, who
Yeah,
played at
yeah,
MT, and I just lost my quarterback coach. And so with every hire, I either hire someone that I know personally, that I know their values, their core beliefs, and how they work, or someone who I know personally they recommend. Because
yeah.
again, I want to make sure that I get someone that I feel like I have some type of familiarity with. So life is about relationships, and so I tell my guys all the time, you can't burn bridges, right? You can't position yourself to where you can't get help from people. So you're always in a mode of trying to you know do the right things, work your butt off, show people that you have a great work ethic, that you have the it factor. Not necessarily that you're perfect, that you don't make mistakes, but they know that if I work with this person and they have a profound impact on my success, that I know they're dedicated, I know they're committed, I know they're willing to be a team player, to sacrifice, for the greater good. And that's what's so important to, I hired my first hire when I got to FAMU was Kenneth Gilstrap. So when I think about Rick Stockstill recruiting me and then hiring me and giving me my first job, I recruited Kenneth Gilstrap, signed him to MT. Y'all played in the same secondary. And when it
Yeah.
was time for me to hire a corners coach, I hired Kenneth Gilstrap because of the relationship that we had built over the recruiting process, the maturation that I saw him having throughout the years I was with him at MTSU, following his career after graduation. I knew that he was a young man that, again, he would bring value to my program. I had him for a year, and then guess what? Rick Stockstill had him from me
Yeah.
back to MTSU, and,
Yeah.
and same thing with Coach Tucker. So that's really what it's all about, man. And so just maintaining and keeping those strong relationships is critical in life. And again, I can't stress it enough. But I ask that question all the time: would that person that's in that huddle with you, in that locker room with you, if they had a chance, would they hire you? And if you're
Mm,
honest with yourself, for a lot of guys, the answer is no, because they know
yeah.
you that you're a guy that's not going to be responsible, not going to be accountable, and do the
Yeah.
things you're just supposed to do.
Nah, for sure, for sure. And I'm a testament to that. You being on here right now, right? It's I feel comfortable, right? I was like, I'm gonna shoot a shot. Hey, I know Coach busy. My boy popping, he doing his thing, right? And I'm like, man, I'm gonna shoot my shot. I'm gonna ask Coach to come on the show. But I only felt comfortable doing that because of the relationship. Like, yeah, you coached me at MT, but I mean, we was in same faith settings, church, going to church, or spiritual settings, Bible studies. We had conversations just about life, off the field. So it was. I didn't know that I was gonna want to do a podcast one day. You get what I'm saying? But now that I'm doing one, I'm thinking about, oh, these are relationships I didn't build genuinely over the years, and I'm gonna reach out to the coach. And so, and I know you ain't just getting on the night before practice for anybody. You know what I mean? It's based off relationships. So I definitely appreciate that, man. And speaking of just faith settings, and I know that's one of your 7 F's, man. Why? How important is faith to you? and why do you believe it's important to disseminate that or talk to your players, your young men about that, and the staff, ladies and men?
Yeah, well, first off, huge shout out to my man Didi Kyles. I say Didi just joined in, man. You
Hey,
know what I'm saying?
DD,
Like,
what up?
yeah,
What?
oh, no, Didi Bo. That's my man. But again, guys like Didi, man, is why I coach, man. I'm so
Yeah.
proud of that young man just being able to see. You know, this Joker posted a picture last week in Dubai. I'm like, of all places, Didi Kyles is in
Hey,
Dubai.
my boy, living it up, man.
He living
Salute
it
to
up,
DD,
man.
man.
I'm so proud of him, man. But no, man, just that word of faith. You know, again, it's the foundation of who I am. You know, and I was fortunate enough to grow up, you know, in a community that embraced that faith relationship. You know, and having a strong relationship with God. You know, really giving you a foundation of who you are. I truly believe that we can't know who we are. We don't know whose we are. You know, and so again, just understanding the relationship that you have with the higher power, and not even so much, you know, the Christian talk, because some people shy away from that, you know, but faith in this whole process, right? You know, you got to have, again, we're part of a team, and so as the head coach, it's my job to set the values, the beliefs, the goals of what this program is supposed to look like. Well, if my coaches don't have faith in me, they're not going to carry that out to the players. If the players don't have faith in the coaches, they're not going to go out there and give it their all every single day. If the support staff doesn't have faith in the processes that we're putting together, they're not going to commit themselves to being out here every day at 5 o'clock in the morning. A lot of the students are here without getting paid and having to volunteer their time and effort. So if they don't have faith and believe in this program and what we're doing, then it doesn't work. You know, so that word of faith is so important. And you know, in football, man, it's we call it one of the 111, right? You know,
Yeah.
you're a phenomenal player, you're a phenomenal safety, one of the best safeties I've ever been around. But you knew you couldn't do it by yourself. You had to make sure that those guys up front, you know, Lattimore and Big Perry and all those guys doing their job to make sure that, you know, if you had to fit the C gap, that you knew that the A and B gap was going to be covered, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't freestyle, you know, and so
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
so important that you trust the people that you're around, and that's where that faith it comes into play, and that's why it's so important. Because again, you gotta have a group of individuals that have a genuine trust and belief in one another to get it done, and without it, I don't think you can be successful.
Nah, for sure, coach. And man, when you say faith is so much bigger, man, and you know, we think about the Bible, we talk about faith without works is dead. And it's just like even faith, you know, like we could be believing God to do something, but if we're not putting in the work ourselves, right? You know, you believing for a great season, but you ain't but right now you preparing. I call it, hey coach, what you doing? Hey, I'm putting plays in for practice, like you preparing. And so that's just like you said, faith is so much, you know, it is big, you know, definitely a huge part of of faith in God, but also, like you said, hey, if you believe we're gonna win a championship, you can't be missing summer workouts. You know what I'm saying? It don't work like that. I can't get the SWAT championship and miss summer workouts. I gotta believe I'm gonna win, and I gotta go to summer workouts, man. And shout out to my dog Donald Reed, who work in equipment with you, man. That's my brother. That's why I wear number 20, man. I wear number 20 because of him, coach. And, you
Oh,
know what I'm
Donald,
saying?
man,
So that a
another one
lot
of
of
those
people ask
guys.
me, why you out? Like, man, I wear number 20 because my dog Donald wore it when we was little. And when I got to high school, I couldn't get 22 or nothing. So I thought about my dog. We called him Little Barry. That boy, hey, you put the ball in his hand. That boy put some move. We called that boy Little Barry Sanders. But hey, I'm gonna get the whole fam. You on the whole podcast. I got Troy. I got to hit Troy up. He gonna come talk about athletics. And my boy Donald talk about equipment, and I got to hit Courtney up too, just talk about being an AD man. But I want to transition. I'm gonna skip some stuff. I want to transition to FAMU and just HBCU cause when I was going over, I'm like, well, I got so much to cover. I really could sit down here and talk 2 hours to coach, but I ain't gonna do that, man. But I want to run back your success right now as a head coach, though. Like I mean, well, everywhere you've been, you done had success. You was a 30. We talk about Sean McVay being a young coach, right? Coach, when you were 30, you was an OC to MTSU offense to new heights as an OC, coach. Then, you know what I'm saying? We talk about you at Prairie View. Never, as a head coach, you never had a losing season. So we talk about Mike Tomlin, right? We raving. My boy doing a great job with the Steelers. But shout out to Coach Willie Simmons, never having a losing season. Then we talk about you at FAMU. You wanted me at, but because of sanctions, they couldn't name you. But I'm gonna say, Cole, y'all was the me at champions, Cole. Y'all was the national champ. You know what I'm saying? Y'all was the champions. Then came back to back 9-win seasons, FCS appearance, playoff appearance. I mean, really, shoot, you know what I'm saying? And when you look at it, because I see you post something, I'm like, dang, coach got a point. They really could be looked at as the black, national champions, black college national football champions, because y'all beat, was it with South Carolina State? Y'all beat them, and then you know what I'm saying? They beat Jackson State, but even looking at it, y'all was right there, what 7-6. So I just want to give your roses, man. Right now, hey, coach, you're doing a phenomenal job, man. Round of applause, coach, for real, man. And I think I seen your success from a distance, but doing my research, I see how great of even more detail. I'm like, coach, ain't never lose. My boy got a 71 winning percentage, 71% winning percentage. So out of every 10 games, you get at least 7 dubs. So like, why is that? Why do you believe you've had that much success as a head coach, and just really early in your football coaching career? Why is that?
Well, first of all, man, I appreciate that, and I never take credit for the success that I have, because it's not my success. One is God gave me a gift, and everything that I do, I try to give it back to Him. So it's really God's success. It's not mine. But I've been blessed, man. I've been blessed to be around some phenomenal football players, phenomenal coaches. Just guys that have really, really um, kind of bought into what we've tried to build together. Again, I threw my last pass in 2004. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna throw another one. The last time I went out there and tried to throw about the partial to my rotator cuff. So I'm not throwing any more passes, man. It takes, we got to go recruit young men to do it. I'm not
Yeah,
coaching the position.
yeah,
As a head coach, I have to oversee the program. I don't coach a position. So it's the assistant coaches going out there working hard every day with the young men. It's the young men buying into what we're doing. It's the strength and conditioning staff. It's the equipment staff talking about Donald, outfitting those guys, man, just making sure that they feel good, that they're swagged out, they can go out there and play loose. It's the medical staff, treating those guys, getting up early in the morning, making sure that they can get back on the field quickly and give their best. I mean, it's the academic support staff. I mean, it's a team effort. When we say family, it really is. Like, it takes all of us to get this job done. And so at the end of the day, and I tell the guys all the time, this isn't my program. I have a role within this program just like
mhm,
everybody else does. My role is the head football coach. But this isn't Willie Simmons' program. The
yeah,
young men in that locker room, this is their program, right? They're the students here. They're the ones that go out there every Saturday with that Rattler on their helmets, with that Rattler on their jerseys, on their pants, representing this institution. This is their program. And so when they buy into it, when they believe into it, when they really come together as a team, man, they're hard to beat. And that's really what we've tried to build ever since I became a head coach. I just tried to put a group together that really said they're going to be the closest football team on the field. And close football teams are very, very hard to beat. We have a saying, and I didn't coin the saying. I got it from Jay Hobson, the guy I work with, that 11 brothers are hard to beat. We all grew up in neighborhoods where we
yeah,
had those families and those brothers that hey man,
yeah,
you catch one on by yourself, you might get them that day, but man, don't let them come back with 3 or 4 of his brothers. Boy, it's gonna be a long day for whoever tried to jump them guys. And I played
yeah,
with some guys like that, and so we say, man, 11 brothers are hard to beat. If we can come together as an offense, defense, special teams unit, and we're playing together as 11 brothers, man, we're tough to beat, and we've built that and grown in that, and that's what has given us success over the years, whether it been at Alcorn State, Prairie View, here at FAM, at MTSU. We had great success there, going to bowl games. So again, man, I just, try to take the lessons and the values that I grew up with, that I played with, and been around the great coaches that I've been a part of, and just take pieces of all of it and put it together, with my own little flavor to it. But it all starts, again, with those 7 F's, the first one being faith, and the last one being family. And there's some other words in between that we have to follow as well. But
yeah.
if you have great faith as one group and you play together as a family, man, I'm telling you, you're going to be a very difficult group to handle week in and week out.
Well, definitely, coach. I mean, you like I said, man, you're doing a phenomenal job leading the program, and I think that's amazing that you give ownership to your student athletes, and letting them know, hey, this is yours, and understanding your role and understanding that, hey, I'm just being a good steward of this program, because like you said, hey, everything that we got, every blessing that we have, it ain't ours. You know what I mean? It's all God saying, look, this is yours. I'm gonna give you this. Now, what we do with it is up to us. Am I gonna be a good steward? And you've been a great steward everywhere you've been, and continuing to be, man. And so one thing, what do you say? What would you say you love the most about being a head coach, and then being a head coach at a HBCU? What would you say you love the most about that?
Well, the thing I love being the most, it's not just about being a head coach. It's about being a coach in general. It's it's Didi Cowles, it's Jeremy Kellem, it's Kenneth Gilstrap, it's Kevin Byard, it's William Pratchett, it's John Gibbs and Kadara Hodge. And it's all the guys that I've coached over the years that I get to see grow up and become great men. Right? That's what coaching does for me. Like I get to sit there back and watch a guy, and I keep using DD, and it's ironic that he jumped on, and I use him
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
time, even to this day, man. That I remember those conversations in the staff room about what other coaches perceive Didi Kyle to be. And I took him as a running back because they were like, well, he can't do this. He can't play this. I was like, well, I'll take it. Just give him to me and we'll see what happens. And, and then brought Didi in, and Didi was a little rough around the edges, and didn't really know much about the running back position, but again, started to work hard, started to really buy into that room. We had great leadership with Benny Cunningham and Philip Tanner and those guys, man, and we just became a family. And we would shut that door, and half the time we watch film and talk ball, the other time we talk life, and we just talk about our dreams and our goals and our aspirations, and they come over, and I could cook breakfast. That's one of the things I can do is cook breakfast. So
hey,
they bring them to the house and cook breakfast for them. And man, and to see a guy like Didi get a college degree, get a great job, now travel the world the way he's doing, and just have an impact on his community, man. That's what coaching does for us. I mean, we really get to just impart the mistakes that we made growing up into these young men so that they don't make the same mistakes and that they can really just come in, man, and just, do great things. So that's really what being a coach does for me. Being a head coach in the HBCU, there's a movement. There's a movement happening within HBCUs, man, that I'm just blessed and honored to be a part of. You look at what Coach Prime has done over at Jackson. You look at what Eddie George is doing at Tennessee State. And just the list goes on and on. Us being featured on a documentary, Why Not Us? I mean, just the awareness brought back to HBCUs, man, it's something that, again, I'm just so humbled by and really making people recognize that Black excellence is a real thing. I don't care if it's educationally, I don't care if it's in business or in athletics. Black excellence is a real thing. And we have great players at this level. We have phenomenal coaches at this level, phenomenal students, and again, we want people to recognize that. We want to highlight those things. And so we get to on a national stage, showcase to America and to the world what we have to offer here at HBCUs because, what we've done nationally, again, cannot be overlooked. This country is not what it is without HBCUs. And we definitely want to just make sure that we continue to remind people of the greatness that walks these halls every day.
nah, most definitely, most definitely. And I was watching, man. It's so much I want to unpack. I'm gonna try to unpack it piece by piece. But I was watching the Pivot podcast with Fred Taylor, Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder, and they had Hugh Jackson on. And they mentioned Eddie George and mentioned Dion. They mentioned Dion, and then he said, "Now wait a minute. Now you got a guy in Willie Simmons down there at FAMU," and I'm like, "Man, look at my man, look at my boy." You know what I'm saying? So like, what does that do for you, man? On just like, all right, like man, what? Because sometimes we might feel like we overlook, but what does that do when you hear a former NFL coach, not a head coach at Grambling State, understanding, hey, I ain't just going against Dion, but I'm going against Willie Simmons too, right? Like, what does that do for you, just on a personal level?
Well, again, man, it's humbling. It's humbling. It lets me know that the work that we put in every day is bearing good fruit. And that's really what it's all about. And so, the grind it's a grind. Football is a grind. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication and commitment. And just like anything else, you want to see the fruits of that labor. And so when you hear a Coach Prime get on Facebook Live or Instagram or whatever, and talk about the job that we're doing here or to talk about the job that other coaches are doing at this level. To hear Hugh Jackson, mention my name, along the same lines of a Coach Prime or Eddie George. Again, it just shows that, the FAMU brand is what we all know it is to be. And that's a
Yeah,
national brand. People recognize the job that we're doing here. And that's really what we've come to do here at FAMU. We came to take this place to new heights. Well, not the new heights, because they've been at the top of the mountain many
yeah,
times before. But we came here to take them back to the mountaintop, and we're not gonna rest until we get there. And then once we get there, we might take a quick power nap and we'll get right back to it, because again, it's a nonstop 24/7 grind to stay at the top. And so again, man, just every day I'm humbled by the opportunity to sit in the same office as Billy Joe, to sit in the same office as Ken Riley again. The guys that have really built this program from the ground up. When HBCUs didn't get the recognition, I'm just honored and blessed to be able to be mentioned in the same breath as those guys.
Nah, definitely, man. And you know what? I hope Dion stay at Jackson State for a long time, right? And I think we know that who he is, the magnitude, right? Just what he brings, and he's in it for the kids. It's so genuine, right? He's in it for the kids, and I love that about Dion. And right, and then but we know growing up as football players who Dion is too, right? Like this, hey, this man bigger than life. And you know, I watched y'all sitting at the podium together, doing a press conference for the game. And I was like, you know, I got so much respect for you, and I just want to know what's going through your head because I know as a competitor, right? When I'm going against another safety, especially like in arena, because it was really about one on one, like whatever safety had the best game on defense, that's who was gonna win. So I'm looking like they said he better than me. I'm taking a personal challenge because I'm like I know who I am, right? Like so I feel like I see in your confidence. You ain't say it. You want, you know, it. But I know as we all got inner ego, we got to acquire confidence that, hey, I'm Willie Simmons. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like, what goes through your mind when you sitting next to the GOAT defensive back, but you know who you are as a man, you know who you are as a coach. What's going through your head, man?
Well, going through my mind, thank God he ain't playing.
Hey,
I feel a lot better than he on the sideline. He
yeah,
ain't
yeah, yeah,
playing,
yeah,
man. So we got a much better chance to win if he on the sideline.
for sure, for sure.
But no, man, that the whole experience again, it was a great experience. I keep using that word humbling because again, it really is. It's humility to sit on the same podium as a guy such as Deion Sanders, right? To be able to have conversations, to be able to look up my phone and see that he's calling me. Right, like I'll pick up my phone, I'll see Deion Prime Sanders calling me and like asking me for advice and asking me how he should handle this situation with his administration or whatever the case may be. So again, man, just being able but that's what football is allowed. You know, it's
Mm,
giving us, afford us those opportunities to walk in those same circles as larger than life figures. And what you come to realize is that I mean these are people, right? For us, we grew up idolizing him. We all grew up trying to do the dance and buy the shoes and
mm,
but again, this is a man who has a family, who is running a program, who's trying to bring awareness to issues that we all face in our life. And so for me, I want to support him in that as much as I can. But like you said, the competitor in me says I want to beat his brains in whenever we get a chance to play him.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so after saying okay, I'm on stage with Deion Sanders, it's like all right, I got to go beat Deion Sanders. I can't let
yeah,
him beat me because I want to show the world that I can coach football at a
yeah.
level that's
Mm.
on the same. Every time you get a chance, just showing that you're ready, that you're prepared. And I tell our guys that all the time. Whether it's football, whether it's a test in the classroom, whether it's a job interview, our job is to be prepared when the time comes because we don't know when the good Lord will open that door for us. We just have to prepare ourselves and be ready to walk through it boldly.
Man, for sure, man. I like how and that's something about Dion too, like him having humility, because he didn't come in just because of what he did on the field. He understood, like, hey, I got to lean on a coach Willie Simmons, who been a head coach, collegiately way longer than me. So he got some information, he got some nuggets that he could share with me. And so, man, I love that. I'm glad to hear that, and I think that that's what but we know as black men, and we know as black people that we know how to come together. We despite what we may see a lot or how we may talk about crabs in a bucket, but more than that though, we got black people coming together. That's what you see at HBCUs all over the place. So and by y'all doing that and showcasing the love, the camaraderie before the game, talking at the podium, but then even after the game, I think that shows the masses, other PWIs, other people that follow just HBCU football, what it's really, really all about, man. And then speaking of just following the program, like the Why Not Us, that series, like I know CP3 Chris Paul got a lot to do with. Like, how did that come about? I know he got the basketball Why Not Us, but how did that come about for football FAMU to be a part of Why Not Us?
Yeah, no, and again, it was amazing kind of how God worked. I mean, it did Why Not Us season 1 with North Carolina Central's basketball team. Obviously, Chris, he and his brother CJ with ODIP Productions are from North Carolina. So they highlighted North Carolina Central's program, which had been very successful, and the series, for all intents and purposes, was very successful. Well, they said, all right, well, let's take it a step further. Chris talked about his love for football and how he started out playing football. So they started looking around for programs that they could highlight as well. Well, our deputy AD, Keith McClooney, is from North Carolina as well. Knows CJ, knows the family. And when he heard that they were looking for a program, he pitched FAMU. And so, we set up a Zoom call, with their production team and with me. And I put my marketing hat on, and I sold the program, man. I said, look, you got a lot of great football programs out there, no doubt about it. You have a lot of great academic institutions out there, no question about it. You have a lot of great marching bands out there, no question about it. But you'll be hard pressed to find any university with the combination of the three that
Yeah.
we have here at FAMU. Like, this place is unique in that aspect. Whether it's academics, whether it's the marching band, whether it's the athletic program, like, we
Mhm.
are at the very, very top, and we're nationally recognized for those things. And so I said, there's not a better place to highlight Black excellence than at Florida A&M University. And so once we got off the call, they were sold. They committed to coming down here, man, and they showed up the first day of training camp. They were with us all the way through Thanksgiving, through the after the Florida Classic, man, and it
Yeah.
was amazing. It was an amazing experience. Again, we were so excited to have them here every day, just highlighting this program, highlighting these young men, giving the world an inside look at a Marquise Bell, a guy who people really don't know because he's an intro. Try to provide a life for her, and then to see Bishop Bonnet and to see Junior Muratovic and, all the Delonis Kabir and all the guys that we were able to kind of just showcase and highlight. Tevin Griffey, being the son of a Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, Ken Griffey Jr. And just having an inside look at what this program is and what FAMU really is was what we really wanted. And we thought they did a phenomenal job of highlighting this place. And we tried to pitch a season two. Don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but
Yeah.
no, we definitely welcome anybody who wants to come and showcase this place, man. Because FAMU is truly special, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Now what? Now tell me, like, what does that do for recruiting? Like, how do you add that in your pitch? Like, what you feel like that did or that does for your recruiting?
Man, it was I don't think words could describe what it did for us from a national standpoint. I had so many calls from guys that had watched the documentary, that wanted to be a part of this. When they saw really the realness of this team, of this program, of these young men. We do our devotionals and we get up and we talk about real life issues.
Mhm.
Right? We came together as a football team during one of the toughest times in our country's history. Right? We had to put together a football season in the midst of COVID, right? After missing a whole football season, we didn't play football in 2020. So to bring this group together, to be able to go through the adversities that we went through early in training camp, being in Tallahassee, where it's 100 degrees heat outside, where we got guys passing out. Troy
Yeah.
came here to DFO. He's got to run to Piggly Wiggly to buy popsicles, and EMS truck is coming left and right trying to
Yeah.
give guys IVs. But for them to just go through all those things, all the adversities that we face as a program together, but to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish on the football field, man, it was amazing, and it was something that young student athletes want to be a part of. Like, I'm no different than you were. You're no different than the next generation of guys are. We just want to be a part of something genuine, something
Yeah.
that's real, that's not phony, that you can be yourself, and that that at the end of the day that you can accomplish all your goals. And that's what this documentary shows. So when it showed people that Marquise Bell had NFL scouts at our practices every single day, it showed guys that you can go to FAMU and HBCU and make it to the NFL because Marquise Bell will. You can be a college graduate. Keenan Ford, Bishop Bonnet graduated with 2 degrees, got great jobs lined up. That you can, go to museums and monumental places and learn who you are and all those type of things, man. So it just really showed what this program is all about. The growth and development of these young men is what this program is built upon. And again, man, we couldn't be more proud to represent FAMU through ESPN. So huge shout out to Chris Paul, CJ Paul, Odell, ESPN, man, for coming down and doing the documentary. And we're still waiting for season 2.
Hey, Cole, they got to run that season 2 back, man, because, like I said, man, it was just so. It was like I learned a lot. We talk about the 1978 circuit. I didn't know nothing about that, Coach. And when I watched it, soon when the episode was over, right? I told my wife, I was like, hey, look, I watched this. I'm inspired by Coach, his wife, their vision. I was like, hey man, I wanna start giving, you know what I'm saying, to FAMU. Now we both went to MT, graduated, got our undergrad, we both got our masters from HBCU. So we HBCU grads, but you know what I'm saying, because we are team Kellem, and I'm inspired, and I mean she inspired, and so we like, hey, we gonna give. But if that documentary never happened, I might not know about it. You know what I'm saying? So could you talk a little bit about the 1978 Circle and what it is, what it means to you, and how people can give?
Yeah, no doubt. So my wife and I, we always talk about what we can do to leave our mark on this community and on this university. She's an HBCU grad. She's a FAMU graduate. We both grew up here. She's fourth generation. I'm second generation. Again, our kids all entrenched in FAMU, and
Yeah,
so for her to sit here and hear me talk every summer about who can go to summer school and who can't because of funding was something where her wheels started spinning. She was like, well, what can we do to help that? And she's heard me talk a lot about Clemson, my experience at Clemson University and IPTAY, right, which is the Booster Club organization, which is the largest Booster Club organization in the country. And Clemson's not a very, very big school, relatively speaking, only
yeah,
15,000 students. But they have the largest booster club in the country because of IPTAY, right? And it's an acronym for I Pay 10 a year. So way back, a long time ago, you only had to pay $10 to become a booster for Clemson. And
yeah,
so it really pushed membership. And now it's a lot more than 10. But the point was that it started small and then it grew
yeah.
to something huge. And now it allows them to operate. So we said, what can we do on that type of scale? So she said, well, FAMU won the FCS Division I AA National Championship in 1978. It's a year that resonates in FAMU history that we all know and recognize. So we came up with the idea to call it the 1978 Circle. And all it does is it asks anyone to commit to giving $19.78 a month to FAMU athletics, FAMU football for the purpose of summer school for our student athletes. Because obviously, being there in the summertime, being able to train, the workout, the strength and conditioning staff, bond with your teammates, but more importantly, being able to get ahead and stay ahead academically is so critical in today's climate. And so $19.78. Yeah, hey, if you feel like giving $197.80, you want to give $1,978. Hey, it's up to you. But again, just that number is a number that sticks out in our minds because of our accomplishments here. And it's something that we started that we feel like can stay at FAMU, even if the good Lord sees fit to move me somewhere else. That this is something that's sustainable, that can really, really, elevate this program to higher heights that we've never seen before.
Definitely, man. Well, me and wife, we already donated. We plan on to continue to donate too, man. And that's just off of the impact. Like I say, man, the impact of watching that. So if I'm inspired to do that, never attended FAMU. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I never went to a classic. Being from Florida, I used to hear about the classic. Never made it to the classic, but because of my relationship with you and what I see you doing and impacting those kids, man, and just people, the community in general, man, I want to be a part of that. And like you said, it's going to helping, kids be able to go to school in the summer. Like we know that how important that is. One, academically, I was able to graduate a whole semester early because of summer school. Then I was able to get a whole summer of workouts to get conditioned right for the season. So when someone say, oh, well, they might say, well, I don't care about what they do on the field. Okay, but you're helping them academically. But if you want them to succeed on the field, okay, not only are you helping them academically when they're in summer school, they're getting their grades, but they're in summer school on campus, which means they can get a whole summer workout, which a whole summer conditioning, which would make them better in the fall. So it all goes, just hand in hand, man. And so I want to, we talk about the Why Not Us and CP3, and one of his best friends is LeBron James, coach. And so I've been checking out your feet. You feel me? I've been checking out your feet. Got the LeBron's on, and I get inside, what I'm saying, intel on y'all because I talk to Donald. I talk to Donald often, man, and he over equipment. So he like, yo, but hey, the basketball team, they got the Brun, the crown. And so my question is, everybody want to know, is the crown, is the LeBron James logo coming on the football jersey? What is it gonna happen at FAMU?
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. May not happen in 2022. They're
Yeah,
still in the process of, when we signed this deal back in January of 2021. LeBron didn't have a football division. He has a brand just like Jordan,
yeah,
but over the years, Jordan developed a football brand. So Jordan has a handful of schools across the country. So they actually manufacture uniforms, cleats, gloves, the whole nine. Well, LeBron isn't to that point yet, but he's getting there. And so, of
Yeah.
course, we're a flagship school. We're the first school to have an
Let's
exclusive
go.
LeBron James deal. Of course, basketball has already been fully outfitted in LeBron James apparel, so we will be fully outfitted no later than fall of 2023. So LeBron James uniforms, LeBron James shoes, LeBron James gloves, wristbands, towels, travel suits, you name it, will be LeBron James head to toe, man. So we're very excited about it. As a head coach, I get a few perks. I get to,
Yeah.
get a couple
Yeah.
shoes from the basketball team. So I'm
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
throw my LeBrons up on the desk every day, man, and rock them. But man, we're very excited about the deal. We call ourselves the school of first, and to be the very first school in America at any level to sign an exclusive apparel deal with none other than King LeBron James, man, is just phenomenal. It's amazing, and again, it just goes to show, like we always talk about, man, you can accomplish everything that you want to accomplish right here at Florida A&M, just like you can anywhere else.
Hey, coach. So they heard it here first. Y'all heard it here on the Tackle Thursday with JK podcast with Coach Simmons. That the LeBron James apparel, football apparel, first school that gonna be decked out in LeBron James on a football field, cleats, jersey, and all. Are the FAMU Rattlers football team led by Coach Willie Simmons. And hopefully, Coach, you know what I'm saying, I have a package or something show up at the door, you know. I don't know if you got to do it, Donald got to do it, you know. But hopefully I can start getting a little FAMU getter go around, you know, the city in, man. Hopefully we can just work out a little something, though, man.
You got the plug, man. You got Donald. You got the plug. You might get
Hey,
him to
hey, I
watch
got
it.
I got it. I don't be using my plug, you know what I'm saying? We be talking, but I don't be, you know, cause that's my dog, you know. I understand when you working, you don't want to be like, hey, you know, somebody work at McDonald's, you like, hey, let me get a free. Come on, bro. Like,
You
let
know
me
how
get
we
a
do. You know
feeding.
how we do.
Hey, yeah, like, bro, this is my first day, bro. You know what I'm saying? So you know, but hey, since I got the head man to tell me I can go ahead and hit the plug up, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the plug up though. So if you see me on the ground on Facebook in your gear, you know who I got it from, right? From my dog Donald. But yeah, cause we winding down, man. I know we going in on the hour. I'm gonna go a little bit over because you know what I'm saying it's just so good though, man. But so you talk about, you know what I'm saying, Marquise Bell, coach. And that's all I kept hearing you on the Why Not Us, man. Like Marquise Bell, man. Like, hey, you know, like he need to go. He going to the league, and I believe he went to the combine. I want to say I read that he went to the combine, man. And so, like, talk about and Donald hit me up in the song. He said, "JK, boy, they got this safety." He's like, "Hey, boy, that boy a baller." You know what I'm saying? Then when I'm watching the documentary, watching the show, I'm like, "Oh yeah, nah, buddy, legit." You know what I'm saying? So, like, tell me, like the difference. Like, tell me a little bit about Marquise Bell, why he gonna be so special in the league, but why there are so many other players like that HBCUs that get overlooked, and why so much attention should be brought to them more now.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Just to touch on the last point first, I had this conversation with Steve Weiss and the guys from the NFL Network while we were out of New Orleans at the Legacy Bowl. Shaq Harris, one of the executive producers of the Legacy Bowl, made a great point, and he said he thinks over the years scouts have kind of got lazy, where they actually recruit or they evaluate schools more so than players. So when you
Mm-hmm.
look at a kid coming from an Alabama, an Ohio State, a Clemson, an MT maybe over a FAMU or another HBCU, you give the benefit of the doubt to the guy coming from Alabama, right? Even if the kid at FAMU has better measurables, has better tape, has better athleticism and all those things, you tend to give the benefit of the doubt to that other guy. If you're going to stand on the table for one, you're going to stand on the table for that guy that comes from Bama. And it's the human element. We're guilty of it as recruiters, right? If you go to Miami to recruit and you go into Miami Northwestern, or Miami Central, who's won a ton of state championships, and their coach is saying, hey, we got this player, he can play. Like, he's a guy. And then you go maybe to Dr. Crop, so to speak, who necessarily didn't have the tradition that Northwestern and Central has. And there's a player, Dr. Crop, that's got good tape. Well,
Yeah,
who you gonna stand on the table for? Because
yeah.
you know what type of program they've been in at Northwestern. You know that
Mm-hmm.
they've been in the fight, in the fire, and know how to win. Where the kid at Crop may have some intangibles, but you're just not quite sure. And I think the human element has caused a lot of our HBCU players to get overlooked in that regard. And then you couple the fact with now we're in this microwave generation that GMs, presidents, owners, they want to win right now. And so the pressure to win right now makes it to where now, well, can I take this developmental guy?
Yeah.
Right? He shows a lot of promise. He's got great measurables, but maybe he's a year or two away. Well, I may not be here in a year or two to see how good he is. So maybe let me go and take the more ready-made guy, the guy that's maybe a little bit more developed from a bigger program. And I think that's hurt a lot of our HBCU players. So a guy like Marquise Bell, fortunately for him, he came in to us ready made, right? Now, we did a great job of coaching them. Brandon Sharp, our secondary coach, Gilstrap was here, Ryan Smith, our co DC. They did a great job of teaching Marquise football, and really giving him X's and O knowledge. So when he got in front of the scouts last week at the combine, he didn't just blow them away with his 4.41 40-yard dash. He blew them away during the interview process when he got on the board and talked football, right? And so it's really increased his draft stock because not only is he a phenomenal athlete, he's a great kid. He's very knowledgeable. He's very smart, and he loves the game of football. And so again, man, he does what I tell our guys all the time. He checks all the boxes. He has the size, he has the speed, the athleticism. He has the love for the game. He has the knowledge. He has those intangibles that project well as an NFL football player. So we expect for him to get his name called, relatively early on draft day. But there are other players like Marquise, maybe that didn't come out as an All-American in high school like he did, but through the years have really developed themselves, much like a Darius Leonard, much like a Tariq Cohen, a Terran Armstead,
Yeah.
a Javon Hargrave, those guys that came right out of high school, maybe non-recruited, one scholarship offer, and 4 or 5 years later, they're high draft picks and Pro Bowlers. There are a lot of guys who are in that mold, and we have some here on our team that will have those same opportunities if they continue to work hard and do the little things right. But again, man, I really just hope that with what's going on now, that scouts really do a great job of evaluating our young men and giving them those opportunities to get in training camp. And maybe I'm selling them maybe too much, but when the scouts come and ask me about Bell, I say, hey, look, I've only been around one guy that I can really compare him to,
Yeah.
and that's Kevin Byard, right? I
Mm.
see a lot of Kevin Byard and Marquise Bell,
Yeah.
because I recruited Kevin and I know what type of kid he was and how hard he worked and how much love he had for football. Bill has those same intangibles, man. So I would be shocked if the kid is not a big time pro. And we're gonna look up in 4 or 5 years, man. And I think he could be a perennial Pro Bowler.
Hey, Coach, man, you said a mouthful, man. And I know you mentioned it earlier when you mentioned KB. So those that's what Kevin Byard is the two-time All-Pro safety from the Tennessee Titans, number 31. The boy's a baller, arguably the best free safety in the league or safety in general. Drop down, cover your tight end, blitz and run game, and hey, don't throw the ball around him. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna come down with it. We used to joke all the time about who number that was, Coach. And so when he first got here, he was like, "Hey, bro, that's your number, JK." I'm like, "Nah, bro, that's your number." Hey, by the time it was over, I said, "Well, that's your number, but that ain't my number at all. Hey, that number 20 is yours, And I told Coach, I'm like, hey, Coach, y'all got to go ahead and, I ain't tell him retire. I said, y'all got to start handing out. But in my mind, I'm like, Coach, y'all need to retire number 20, man. Like what KB did, I felt like I did a little something, you know what I'm saying? A little, I feel like I did more, but I feel
No,
like I
you
did a little
did
something.
you did your thing. Don't
Yeah.
undersell yourself, bro. You 3-time
Hey,
all conference. You did your thing.
Appreciate that, Coach. I do think when you talk about schools, right? I feel like what I did, right? I ain't saying I'm Honey Badger. Respect Honey Badger. I used to train with it. That boy is a beast, right? I'm talking about what he did and what I did, right? So in 50 career games, I got either a turnover, block kick, or like fumble recovery, interception in 25 games. So every other game, I either blocked the kick or got a turnover. I'm like, bro, if I did that in the SEC, I'm going to the league. But you know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother, story. But the fact that you see that though, you see that in Marquise Bell, you seen that in Kevin Byard, who I think he was like a 2-3 star coming out, but you seen that this man is an all pro.
Barely, barely.
The man, all pro safety, man. So I think that's add credibility to your word, which should be with scouts. When you like, look, I recruited KB. I'm telling you, he like KB, and you see what KB doing in the league. So this is what Marquise Bell, gonna do in the league. And you mentioned the Legacy Bowl, Coach, and which we talked about when we were trying to get you on the show. You said that you went to the Legacy Bowl, so it is an inaugural HBCU Legacy Bowl. HBCU Black All-Star game, right? The football game, Black college football game, man. You was one of the head coaches. Like, salute to you on that. You was the SWAT coach that they chose. And so, man, like, tell the people about that game. What is that game? Because a lot of people might not know especially, what I'm saying, in his first year. But they when they was looking for coaches, they called you, man, which says a lot about you. Like, could you tell the people a little bit about that game and how big that's gonna be? And like you said, bringing exposure to HBCU football in general.
No, no doubt, man. Again, Doug Williams, who obviously was the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl with the Washington Redskins back then. James Shaq Harris, who's also the first black quarterback to be named a starter in the NFL and be a Pro Bowler. Both Grambling graduates, both co-founders of the Black College Football Hall of Fame. They saw a need. They saw a need, and they saw what was happening to black college football in the NFL and the lack of guys getting the exposure. So they put their heads together and they said, what can we do? So they came up with a phenomenal idea to have an all-star game. Let's bring our best and brightest HBCU football players from the two Division I conferences, the SWAC and the MEAC, the two Division II conferences, the SIAC and the CIAA, and then Langston University, NAIA, and bring their best and brightest to a city and put on an all-star game. And they did that in New Orleans, very first year. Great sponsorships. Adidas was the apparel sponsor. Pat Mahomes was a sponsor. Pepsi. Man, just a ton of corporate sponsorships. Man, they did a phenomenal job putting the game on. Not only did we have a great week of practice with pro scouts at every practice, interviewing guys, spending time with those young men. Man, just the experiences that they gave them. They had a career fair, on Friday and Saturday, where Fortune 500 companies got a chance to interview those guys. They had career summits. They had, Microsoft workshops. Man, it was an amazing, amazing experience, man. I mean, I can't tip my hat enough to Doug Williams and Shaq Harris, man, the Black College Football Hall of Fame, for just being visionaries and seeing the need for our young black men and women, young black men in this case, to get exposed, to the NFL. And I think a lot of guys greatly benefited from the game, and there'll be some guys that maybe either get their names called on draft day or definitely get into training camps as priority free agents because of the job they did over those 4 days out in New Orleans. So, man, it's a game that definitely has staying power. I'm looking forward to seeing how much better it can get over the years. But again, man, phenomenal experience, and looking forward to seeing what happens in the years to come.
Man, me too, man. I'm definitely, and my little young one, we young in the game with being what I'm saying, being parents, man, my wife. But what I'm saying, we both want our kids, if that's what they choose to do, right? We definitely pushing, we want them to do what they want. We understand this world now, where to be successful, you necessarily don't have to go to college, but if that's the route that they choose to go, hey, HBCUs, hey, we definitely, and where y'all at right now, Coach, and where I see y'all going, the trajectory, bruh, I think it's gonna be back where it once was. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't understand. Like, we look at PWIs and it's like, okay, right, we got the PWI. I graduated. We both graduated from PWI, played there. But when we think about the HBCUs and before the Morrell, Morrell land grant acts and different things like that, when it was segregated, like this, like when we look at Travis Hunter, people are like, oh, he doing something new. He breaking tradition. Nah, he following tradition. The
Right.
tradition was, hey, I couldn't even go over there to know a PWI. I got to go to an HBCU. Look at how many Hall of Famers we got from over there. You know what I'm saying? Then when they started to integrate and they seen how great HBCU football is, and then just like the Negro League, now you start to get plucked. The players start to get pulled away, and it weakens the infrastructure of HBCU football. But I see y'all taking that back to new heights, man. And one thing, I just got three more questions for you. Well, really two, Coach. So you not scared to schedule outside bigger, larger opponents, Coach. Like, so me and my homeboy, my line brother, we had a conversation. I said, boy, I got Willie Simmons from FAMU coming on. He said, man, one thing I love about Coach Simmons and FAMU, they ain't scared to schedule no D1 opponent, no big school. And so what goes into that? Because I remember watching y'all when y'all play USF, you talking to them boys like, yo, we on their level. Like, I don't care about no South Florida. We here to win. And I love that because it's about, I don't care who I'm going against. Larger, like, we here to win. So like what's your mindset in scheduling those games? And I know the AD plays a part. So what's your mindset? You and Courtney mindset in that, man?
Well, again, man, we it's twofold. Obviously we do it because one, right now we have to. In order to fund and support our athletics program, football and both basketball program, men and women's, are the revenue generating sports. With only 3 out of 15 sports that generate revenue. and those revenues come from ticket sales and guarantee games. And so for us to be able to, pay coaches, put our kids through summer school, pay scholarships and all those things, we have to generate revenue. And here in the state of Florida, the university cannot help us. They can't give us any money. And that's not just FAMU. That's every state school in the state of Florida system. They cannot help the athletic program. They can't bail us out. And so we have to play those games and get those big guarantees to be able to support our program. So that's one of the reasons. And then the other reason, again, I know when the pro scouts came here last year to look at Marquise Bell, the first game they were going to put on was South Florida,
He
the
balled that
very
game.
first one, right? And so they're going to see what he does against what's considered the top competition. And so it's going to help Marquise Bell. It's going to help Isaiah Land and Xavier Smith and those guys when they get to see us against South Florida, Central Florida, North Carolina this coming season,
Yeah.
University of Miami in coming years, So again, it's a way for us to one tell our recruits that, hey, you're going to play against Power Five competition during your time here, and what you do in those games will have a huge impact on what the pro scouts think of you. And so that's one of the reasons why we do that, But again, JK, you can relate, bro. We remember going up to Maryland and coming out of there with the dub. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like we wasn't just going up to collect the check, and we got a nice little handsome payday from
Yeah.
Maryland. They came to us a year before, and we put it on them. You know what I mean? We went to Minnesota the next year and should have beat them. You know what I mean? And so for us, even as a mid major, we weren't afraid to go play Power Five programs because we said that's the type of program that we're building. We're building a program that can play with anybody because we got really good football players. They may not be as big or as fast or as strong as everybody else, but I tell you what, I'll take a 5'11", 185-pound Jeremy Kellem over any 6'2", 215 SEC safety because I know what he's got in him, and I know what type of heart he's got in him. I know how hard he works. I know how much he loves this game and his teammates. And so, man, Alex Suber, a 5'7",
Facts.
160-pound cornerback that's covering 6'7" receivers out there and doing this thing,
Yeah.
and so that's what we are building here is a group that says, you know what, regardless of the obstacles, regardless of the odds or what adversities we face, our job is to go out and perform because that's what being a black man in America is all about. We're never going to be on a level playing field because we're the minority. And so guess what? We got to work that much harder. We got to put in that much more work. We got to do that much more with that much less and still be expected to perform at the highest level, right? And so again, why not do it on the football field to give these guys those lessons early to really teach them of how we got to be when they leave FAMU and go into the real world where every week they're going up against a Power Five school, right? When
Man.
you walk into that job interview at Microsoft, at IBM, at Lockheed Martin, at wherever that place is, you're going into the SEC. You're going into the play the best and the brightest that's out there, perceivably, because we're coming from environments that don't have all the resources as African Americans in this country, right? We got a 400-year delay on wealth, on knowledge, on all the things that our white counterparts have. So we're starting behind the eight ball, right? And so again, giving these guys a lesson starting here when they get to FAMU they can take on within the rest of their lives. That's really what our job is here as coaches and administrators.
Coach, somebody said, well, they said, that's a word. Coach, I got chills, man, because the way you just put it, how you just related that you are like, y'all playing, larger opponents. We just say like the D1 or FBS, how they say it, right? And being an FCS school is preparing your young black men for the world in America that when they get ready to go, you a FCS person and you trying to go and thrive in the FBS world. And man, that is so true, Coach. That is so true. But that prepares them. And like you said, being a mid major, that's kind of how we had it. Though we were D1, playing LSU, number 2 in the nation. I'm 18, Coach. I remember in the summer going through the little magazine. I'm like, oh, but we got to play these boys. We got it. Hold on, I'm looking at my arms. Hold on, we got these boys. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, what's in me? I wasn't the biggest dude, but what's in me like, hey, bro, like, okay, LSU, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I'm like, dang, okay, when I got 6 tackles, a pass breakup as a true freshman, I'm like, I feel like I did good. Played the number 8 team in the nation. So looking back at that now, without me even knowing, that stuff did prepare me because now I know when I'm walking into these places, I might not have come from all, like my parents, they did an amazing job, gave me everything that they knew and still continues to contribute to me. But I know that I'm operating, you know what I'm saying, behind the eight ball. And like you said, hey, they expect FAMU to go beat a USF, even though the training table might not be the same, even though the funding might not be the same. But the expectation is Coach Willie Simmons better get it done. You get what I'm saying? These HBCUs better get it done. Hold on, how y'all gonna try to compare us to PWIs or people that got fully funded or they got these big old, most of their players going to the league so they can come back and give millions to the program? That's not fair because we ain't operating from the same. But y'all don't make excuses. Because you don't make excuses. Like we talked about your record, right? 45-21, but we look at fam 24-10. But some of the teams y'all playing are FBS. So you playing like it's like David and Goliath, but you can knock and you didn't knock off with Goliath. You know what I'm saying? So I just salute you, man, for saying that, man. Hey, that was a powerful word, man. That was a powerful word for real, though, Coach. How you relate that? And then lastly, man, what you think about the transfer portal and NIL? I want to get your take on that.
Man, you know what? I think everything in life, as we grow and get more experience and get wiser. Um, I think we're in this player empowerment movement. That's where we are, right? It's all about the player. It's all about the student athlete experience, and it should be, right? You played at the high level. I played at a high level. We were not able to capitalize on our name, image, and likeness, right? That number 20 jersey before Kevin Byers started wearing it, you could go buy it in a store, right? Jeremy Kellem didn't receive any money from the sale of that jersey. I remember in 2003 or 2002 seeing a number 7 Clemson jersey in the East Bay book. And I was like, man, I finally made it, bro. Like
Yeah,
my
yeah.
jersey is in the stores. Like you can buy a Willie Simmons. Didn't have Simmons on the back, just had the Clemson paws and it
Yeah.
had number 7. But it was my jersey. It was my number. I received no money from the sale of that jersey. So Clemson University did. The proceeds from those sales went directly to the athletic department. I didn't receive any of that money. So I do agree that student athletes should be able to benefit from their name, image, and likeness. If a corporation wants to use you to sell something for them, you should be able to benefit from that, right? And so NIL is a thing that's not going away at the end of the day, right? I do think that there needs to be some type of regulations with it because there's still a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity about what it really is and how it's really to be administered. And so the NCAA is kind of taking their hands off of it and left it up to each state to govern NIL. So Florida laws are different than Georgia laws, which are different than Alabama laws and Texas laws. So they're creating some competitive advantages for certain states who have a lot more lenient NIL laws than other states. And so there needs to be some continuity with how it's administered to keep a level playing field, right? Or otherwise the haves will continue to have it more than anybody else. The have-nots will continue to create a wider gap. And that's not what you want to see. You want to see more parity
Mm.
in college football than a greater division, So I do think it needs to be regulated. The transfer portal, kind of the same way. It makes it really difficult as a head coach to manage your roster when at the end of the day a kid can up and leave at any time. Now I do believe that there are instances where players should be able to just say, you know what, this in the right place for me, for whatever reason, and maybe they need a new change. They need to change the scenery. But I do think again it needs to be regulated because anything that's not regulated is gonna explode for the negative, right? And so when you look at the transfer portal now, most people point to a Russell Wilson situation. He left NC State, went to Wisconsin, had a phenomenal career. They point to a Joe Burrow, left Ohio State, went to LSU, had a phenomenal career. They point to the success stories.
Yeah.
What they don't look at is the fact that right now, today, there are probably 500 student athletes in the transfer portal who don't have a home.
Mm.
That they left a school on some type of scholarship, maybe a full ride, maybe a partial ride, or whatever the case may be, and now they're sitting in the transfer portal and they don't have a home to go to because either the school hasn't offered them a scholarship or for whatever reason, right? And the problem that I have with that is that the vast majority of these young men look like you and me, right? And so they were on full rides somewhere, but because they were misadvised, or because they didn't really understand this system and how it works. They enter the transfer portal, which the moment they enter, the school can pull their aid. So the moment you enter the transfer portal, the school has no obligation to pay your tuition anymore. So they're off aid, which means a lot of times they end up failing classes. So they're sitting in the transfer portal. They can't go to school because they either have bad grades or a school that have a scholarship for them. So now if they want to go to college, guess what? Mom and dad are on the hook. They're on the hook for paying their tuition. Somebody's on the hook for paying their tuition.
Yeah.
And so again, most of us didn't come from environments and situations where mom and dad just got it like that to be able to
Yeah.
pay for college. Me, if I didn't play football on scholarship at Clemson, and if I didn't, thank God I was good enough as a student where I would have got an academic scholarship to FAMU.
Yeah.
But a lot of my teammates who ended up going to play college ball did. They didn't have the grades I had. So if they didn't go play college ball, they probably would not have been able to go to college because their parents would not have been able to afford college. And so we really need to look at the system and see what it's doing. What's the overall success rate of the kids entering the portal? I think there is a need for a transfer portal. I think kids do deserve the right to be able to choose another place if it's not for them. If I recruit a player to FAMU and the moment he gets here, I take a job somewhere else, I think that kid should say, you know what, I came to FAMU because I love Coach Simmons. Well, I can't pay for Coach Simmons. I don't really want to be at FAMU. That happens. People don't
Yeah.
want to hear that, but that's the reality. I went to Clemson in large part because of Rick Stockstill. If Rick Stockstill had left Clemson the moment I got there, I probably would have been out the first thing smoking the first chance I could have left
Yeah.
because he was the guy that recruited me for those 2 years that I trusted, that I knew that if I had a problem, I went to him. I didn't go to another coach. I went to him because that's who recruited me. And so there just needs to be some hard conversations had that help these young men understand, hey, here are the pros and cons to entering the transfer portal, right? You may not like the situation you're currently in, but here are the ramifications if you go and you don't have a place to go right now, right?
Yeah.
So I just think there needs to be a lot of education had that right now there's not. It's kind of, just like everything else, the NCAA is kind of saying, hey, we're washing our hands of it. Y'all do what y'all want to do with it. And, hey, best of luck to you. And I see way too many, like I said, primarily black and brown young men and women sitting out there right now without a school to go to on aid. And I think that's going to continue to set our culture back.
And being former college football player, right? I remember when we couldn't transfer like that, when there was a penalty always, right? And I just remember seeing, coaches, they get to leave when they want to, right? A break contract or whatever, get a buyout. Somebody, the school they're going to, pay the other school that they're leaving. And I used to be like, man, that's not fair to the players. Why we got to sit out? And so you do want that autonomy or that freedom or that choice to say, I want to transfer for the right reasons. And I think a lot of times, and I don't know, but I think a lot of times, a lot of our student athletes right now are transferring for the wrong reasons. And I think you got to look in the mirror and say, okay, am I transferring because of a problem that I caused? Like, is it because, what I'm saying, am I not playing because I ain't going to class, I ain't working hard, I'm skipping reps, I'm getting in trouble? Is that why I'm not playing? Because if the problem is you and you transfer, you going with you to the next school. So that problem just gonna simply follow you. Now, like you said, if it's an issue with, man, my coach left or something with the family, I'm trying to get closer to home, or like you said, I just genuinely don't like what's going on here emotionally. It's not good for my mental health and certain things like that. Then yeah, that's a legitimate reason to transfer. But if the issue is you and your habits and your character and you just, lacking, relationship building and different things, you can't run from you. So you can transfer from one school, but you are following you, man. So,
Yeah,
man,
and
hey, well,
I
go ahead.
definitely think you hit the nail on the head, man. And I do think that there needs to be tougher conversations, honest conversations had, and that's where that faith and trust factor comes into play. Again, I look at a guy like I keep using him as an example, like Didi, right? If Didi had decided to transfer in his second year, a lot of Didi's issues would have followed him to wherever he went. Right, he was big and fast, and somebody would have taken him because he's 6'1", 190, and ran 4.4. Right, but Didi had some some maturing to do, and so it wasn't until that third year that we were able to say, "Hey, Didi, look, at the end of the day, bro, and it was Benny, it was Philip, it was all of us. It's sitting in that room saying, all right, this is you, DD, because and I still remember to this day, Philip Tanner and Benjamin Cunningham, two guys who played in the NFL, telling DD, bro, you're the most talented guy in this room. You have more talent than anybody in this room.
Yeah.
But it's you that's keeping you from playing ahead of us. It's you. Because when coach says finish, this is what finishing looks like. Look at Benny. But then when you go through the line, you're pulling up, right? That's not our standard. And so it took DD to mature, and it took him to finally look himself in the mirror and say, you know what? Yeah, it is me. I have to grow up. I have to make some decisions about my life and my future. And I guarantee if you were to ask DD and put him on this podcast, he would tell you that during those years, he really matured and became the man that he is today. And so I do think that, we're in that generation where the first sign of adversity, boom, I'm gone. I'm out the door, right? But like you said, most of the time, if it's not, like you said, coach leaving, want to get closer to home, family members sick or something, a real circumstance that causes you to need to get closer or go to another place, most of the time it's probably something inward that needs to be worked through. Again, a lot of these guys are coming from places where they just haven't had the chance to grow, right? At 18 years old, you're not really ready to make those type of major decisions. And so, again, I think there just needs to be a lot of educating from coaches. It's our responsibility. We can't get into that mode of just, hey, we got to win right now. So, hey, we got a bunch of bad players. Let's get them off the team and let's get some new guys in. And guys fall into that mode, But here we're proud to say, man, I've been here 4 years. We've had one guy enter the transfer portal. One. And that's because he graduated. He wanted to play with his older brother. And he transferred out to Georgia Tech, man, to play with his older brother. Well, he was the oldest to play with his younger brother his last year of college football. That was the only reason he left.
Yeah.
And so, man, I mean, we just you build a program and a culture that guys want to be a part of. And I think that's what wins. That's sustainable. You know what I mean? So, I've never been judged. I've never judged myself on wins and losses. I mean, yeah, it's great to be able to say I've never had a losing season, but that's not what I look at. That's not what I judge myself by. I judge myself by the impact that I have on these young men every single day. The guys that are leaving this program, what are they doing when they leave? Are they securing good jobs? Are they becoming good husbands? Are they being great fathers? Do I get wedding invitations in 4 or 5 years? Am I looking on Facebook and social media and seeing them posting pictures of their newborns? Are they showing the promotions of the new jobs? Am I looking at DD being in Dubai and all across the world? It's
Yeah.
just going
Yeah.
places I ain't never been. You know what I mean? It's like those are the type of things, man, that, again, it's really all about. So when it's all said and done, nobody's going to care what my win-loss record is. It's really going to be irrelevant. What's going to matter the most is what type of impact that I have on the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young men that I get to impact daily. I got 120 players. That's 120 young black men who can go out and change the world, right? And so that's why we coach, man. I hope guys that are listening to this or that hear this or that don't hear it, that they don't lose sight of why we've been called to do this, because this is our ministry. Make no mistake about it. This is our ministry.
Yes,
And
sir.
if we don't take it seriously, man, we're gonna let a generation of leaders fall by the wayside.
Man, hey, coach, y'all literally saving lives, right? We look at police officers, we look at firefighters, right? They save lives in that way, right? I'm an educator. I save lives by what I teach them. I don't teach them just about content. I'm teaching you about life. Y'all not just teaching them about football, X's and O's. Y'all teaching them about X's and O's of life. So we talk about all of us. We out here in whatever profession, especially when you're dealing with young people. We saving lives. You know what I'm saying? And then your impact. 120 football players, 120 black men. If all of them go get married, have kids, that thing quadruple. Your impact, your seed that you and your staff, y'all plant every day, just keep quadrupling, man. And so, man, and just watching the Why Not Us, seeing you sit down, like you said it, like, hey, I ain't just trying to develop good football players. I'm developing good men. I'm developing good women in my staff, right? That at the end of the day, they're people first, And so, man, I respect that, coach. I appreciate it. And then the last, this is how I end every show, coach. Besides, you're gonna get to say your last word, but I allow my guests to ask me one question. Any question you want to ask me, coach. Hey, I put them on the spot. Coach Stott say, man, you should have gave me time. Nah, coach, I need it right on the spot. Any question, I answer it, and then that's how we end.
Man, I tell you what, man, we had so many great memories during our time together at MT, man. I just want to ask, like, what's one of your best memories, man? Just it could be on the field, off the field. Just what's one of those memories that you just say, look back on it and like, man, this really made my MT experience worthwhile.
Man, I would say probably the 2009 season, like on and off the field. I mean, 2009 was crazy. You know, I think we went was 3-3, and then we just took off, bump, 7 straight, wins. I think we had the longest winning streak in the nation. So on the football field, it took off. As a team, went to the bowl game, first ever, Division I bowl victory. And as an individual, I think that was my first year being first team all conference. And so that was huge. And then off the field, coach, then met wifey, you know what I'm saying? I then met her off the field that year. And I remember, you know what I'm saying? I remember Troy on your staff. I brought her we went to the basketball game. And that boy, I think like the next day, he say, hey, boy, hey, look like you got a good one on it. I said, hey, boy, I think she might be, you know what I'm saying? I think she might be the one. So off the field, it was going good. And then, man, I got baptized, man. It was
Man,
my second time getting baptized. But, when you a kid and you get baptized, man, your memory. And since I was going to church, right, down in Murfreesboro, it was like I felt the Holy Spirit like, man, you need, like every time baptism came up, I'm like, it was like, hey, you need to get baptized. I'm like, man, I got it. I was baptized as a kid. But it's like, bro, you don't remember. So my boy Devin Pikes, he used to play at MT. And so he like big mentor to me. Man, I got baptized at MTSU Rec Center, man. So you talking about from the on the field, all conference, bowl game, meeting wifey that year. She said I mean, she said I was her husband when I first met her, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, meeting wifey though when I first, and then getting baptized, so I had the spiritual component, my relationship now, and then on the field we balling. So I would say that was the most memorable year, man, for real. Hey, my boy, hey Troy, say I told you had a winner. Hey, facts at the basketball game. But yeah, man, that's what I got, man. And coach, man, I just want to allow you to end by saying what you want to say, man, to the people, and motivate or say, tell them about FAMU, man, whatever you want to say right now. This you closing out the show right now.
man, no, man. I'm just so blessed, man. When you sent the invitation, first of all, when you hit me up about the 1978 circle, man, that meant a lot. You know what I mean? Just meant a lot. That whenever I see guys that I've been able to be around and coach, and you've always been one of those guys, man, that I've raved about. That just that then, like I said, not gonna say you had it figured out, but you could just tell it was something there. And man, just so proud to see where you've come, your growth, man. Just seeing you post online with your wifey, man, what you guys are doing. It's inspirational, and man, you see me, man, I got these grays in my beard now, man, and, I'm getting up there in age, man, but just to look and see, what you're doing. I take inspiration from you. I take inspiration from Dee Dee, man, from PT, from Benny, from KB, like all the guys, man, that I've been able to impart some wisdom on. I learn from you guys still, man, and I'm so humbled to be able to continue to bond the relationship that we've all built through this game of football, through coaching, and like you said, man, our job is simple. We're here to change lives, and what you're doing, the impact that you have, it's amazing. And so keep doing what you're doing, man, and just know, like I tell the guys all the time, man, anytime you're doing great, the enemy he doesn't like it. He's not going to rest, so he's going to send us attacks. But just like in football, one thing that made you a great player was that you studied the game. And so you knew that this situation, they were going to try to double move you. They were going to try to hit you with the corner post because we were playing quarters. You know what I mean? And you were ready for it. And that's what I tell our guys all the time. If you know what the tricks are of the enemy, like, why would you get beat? Like, why would you get beat on something that you know is coming? Like, that's the worst feeling in the world, to know they're about to double move me and I give up the double move, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, man, just, continue to do it like I know you're going to do, man. Keep God first and just continue to keep pressing on. And anytime, man, I'm a phone call or text away. Would love to just continue to talk to you, man. Come down and talk to the team. And I'll make sure, you say you've never been to a Florida Classic, this year, 2022, Jared McKellem will be in Orlando, Florida, for the Florida Blue Florida Classic, baby.
Hey,
come out here and
do
watch
it.
us
Hey,
get
coach.
cats, man.
Hey,
We'll
let's
get
do
Troy
it.
to
We
get
gotta
you
do
hooked
it.
up.
You said what?
I'm gonna get Troy to get you hooked up, man. You'll be on the sideline, man. Matter of fact, you come do chapel for us on Friday night for the game.
Hey, y'all heard it here. Hey, I'm Nuck, Coach. I'm Nuck. I'm Nuck at the Florida Classic. Hey, on the sideline, doing chapel for the team. I'm there. Hey, Coach, man, like when I say, man, hey, you making an impact. You made an impact in my life, man. You're making an impact in the men and women in your program, man. Hey, salute to you. Salute to your wife, all your kids, man, your family, the whole nine, man. I wish y'all the best. Hey, go FAMU. You know what I'm saying? Definitely rocking with y'all, supporting y'all too, man. And man, hey, everybody that tuned in, I appreciate y'all coming out showing Coach Simmons some love, showing me some love, man. Hey, y'all go ahead and follow Coach Simmons if you don't already. Follow me, JK_Impact. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jeremy Kellem. Hey, and y'all gonna get to listen to this all over again next week on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Anchor, man, on Tackle Thursday with JK Podcast, man. Be sure y'all click, subscribe, follow. And make sure y'all go to some FAMU games, watch them, stream them, click on the TV, and support them, man. Hey, Coach Simmons, I appreciate it, man. Hey, keep doing what you're doing. God bless, man. Good luck with everything.
Go Rattlers.
Hey, yes, sir.